Assalamu alaikum. I am Nazmul Hossain, studying in Computer Science and Engineering at Southeast University. My ID is 20251000000141. My batch number is 70. Today I am here to present a, a interesting language called Python programming language. So let's start our presentation. What is Python programming language? Many of us are interested in Python programming. In today's age of information technology, learning programming is not just a hobby. It has become a highly demanded profession, and in the world of programming, Python is very popular name. So, which programming language is currently at the top? Can we say? That would be Python. Python is considered the most beginner-friendly language to start learning programming. It can it can be called a one-man army because Python is used everywhere programming. It can be called one man army for its application software to artificial intelligence across industries and research sectors. Now let's learn a little bit about Python's history. Okay, introduction to Python. It is a highly It is high-level language, easy to read language, created by Guido van Rossum, open source and cross-platform, open source and cross-platform, one language, many users, web, AI data, automation, etc. Basically, Python was invented by Guido van Rossum and first released in 1991, as we see our slide. It is widely recognized for its simple syntax, which closely resemble natural language, making it highly accessible for beginner and professional alike. So, if we see next, why is Python popular? Python generally Python is near close to human language. It is for its readable syntax, for its easy readable syntax works on all OS. It has become a great change in all the languages. Works on all OS, Windows, Linux, Mac OS, and etc. So we can say that Python is a language that can be run all type of OS. Large community and open source libraries. In Python, we can see an open source library and a large community to describe but to explore. Requires less code than other languages. It requires lesser code than other languages. We don't have to write a larger code as we write on JavaScript or C or C++. So if we see next, importance of Python in Bangladesh. Importance in Bangladesh. Why it is important in Bangladesh? Can we say? Because Python is easy to interact coding. We can easy to interact in code by using Python. Part of school and college ICT curriculum. In our Bangladeshi schools, all the classes we carry our ICT. We carry ICT book, and for the reason all of us want to become a good coder, so in that case we can use Python. Used in higher education, engineering, science and technology, and in demand for AI data and software job. From our childhood we wanted to become a software engineer. We all have a vision to become an engineer. And what type of engineer? Everyone say software engineer. Opens freelancing and global remote work. Global remote work. So that's the importance, can we say. If we see next, Python interpreter. It's a very important thing. to use Python code line by line and communicates with OS. Okay, we can use PyCharm and Google Colab simultaneously. We can use PyCharm and Google Colab. If we see next, environment setup of Google Colab, we just see only one site, only one app, Google Colab. We don't have to use PyCharm. We don't have to use PyCharm. If you want to use PyCharm, then that's fine. Okay, first we have to go in Google and search Google Colab. Then we can see here the first link and tap on here. After that, we see this kind of a page. Then we can tap new notebook, and after that we see this kind of page. So it was the environment setup of Python of Google Colab. So here's the start of our Python journey: input, output, and range functions. Okay, input, output. Basically, input means input means we can input something in your computer by coding, and our computer get ourselves feedback of our input as our input. So understand how to receive user input using input function, display output using the print function. That means we can input our data by using input, and we can output our data by using print. So after that, combine static text and variables in output, such as example, print hello, comma name. It is mandatory to use inverted sign. Recognize the role of Python's standard library in simplifying coding tasks. So if we see a example, we can see here that firstly we call a variable called name equal input, enter your name, then we can print hello, comma that variable. It means we want to print hello, then our name. So if we see the result, here is our result, then hello Nazmul. If we talk about range, use range to generate number sequences. We use range to generate a number of sequences simultaneously. Okay, apply range, start, stop, step for custom intervals. If we want to custom an interval, such as we want to print 1 to 10, or we can print 1 to 10 but only even numbers. Commonly used with for loops to iterate our values. Example, display even numbers from 2 to 10 using range 2, 11, 2. If we see an example, here is our output. It was our input, that it was our coding input, that for I in range. It means we called a variable I in range of 2, 11, and 2. Here 2 is start, 11 is stop, 2 again is step. And then if we print, then we easily say that in our starting point is 2, and we have to stop in 11, and our per step we want to get a gap of 2. Then then we easily can print a even function, that 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. If we see next, variables, data types, and naming rules. Variables. What is variable? A container that stores data in program. It means we can say a container that we use for a purpose of storing data. How to store data? It's a great question. Name equals Sakib. Stores name. Here name is a variable and Sakib is a data. If we see next, x is called x, here x is calling for age, and 18 is my age. Case sensitivity. In Python, case sensitivity is a important thing. If we see a is equal 4 and small a is equal 4 and capital A is equal hello are two different values, you can see that I didn't use any type of quotation in my integer number. So in that case, in that case we can say that if we use integer number, then we don't need to use inverted comma, because it is a integer function, integer number. And if we use hello, then in that type our data type is string, and we all know that we have to use inverted quotation to print strings. Okay, are two different variables. Type checking. Use type first bracket to check the data type. Type x is type x is a class integer data type. Type x is a class integer data type, because if we see here 18 is an integer number, so in here it is printed class int. So here are some examples that I already described here. So it was answers. If we talk about data types, there are many types of data types, and we are talking about only four in here. Common data types: string, that prints our text. Int, for int is used for whole numbers. That means when we want to print a number, then we, in that case, we use int. Float, float means fractional numbers or decimal numbers. Can we say decimal numbers? But more appropriate is to say decimal. More appropriate is to say it's called fractional number. Boolean, that means that means true and false. It is case sensitive, because we have to use capital in T and capital in F. Extra types: list, tuple, dict, set, complex, bytes, and more. Here is a example: name, string, Sakib, age, int 25, weight, float 55.5, a teacher is equal, bool, first bracket, true. Naming rule. Naming rules start with letter A to Z, capital A to Z, small a to Z, digits 0 to 9, or underscore, or, and no keywords or spaces. So here I marked the things that I described. Operators. What is operator? Operators are symbols that perform operations on variables and values. The values involved are called operands. There are many types of operators, such as arithmetic, then assignment operator, comparison and other operators, logical operators. So if we go back to our arithmetic operator, in here we used for basic math operations. Arithmetic operators are used for basic math operations. Plus for addition, minus is for subtraction, star is multiplication, slash is division, percent is modulus, and a double star is exponential, means exponential. So if we see here, then our if we see here, it was our code and our output was this. This was our output. If we see assignment operators, assignment means to assign something. So if we so hearing the assignment name, we can say that assigning a value or update variables in a variable. So if we see here plus equal, that means if I have a variable, then add some values with that. If we use minus equal, then I can say to minus a value to another value. Then as usual for combined operations, examples are a plus equal b adds to b to a and stores in a. So if we see an example, a equal 5, a plus equal 10, print a. That means our output should be 15, because a was 5 and we add 10 with 5. So our output should be 15. Okay, comparison and other operators: greater than, less than, equal to, not equal, then greater than equal, then less than equal, returns false or false, true or false, logical operators and or not. So a is equal, b is equal to 15, print a is greater than b. If a is not greater than b, then here here we see that the computer prints false. Print a is print a equal b. A is not equal b, so here again computer prints false. Print a is less than b. Yes, it is true. So here it is printed true. If we see not means to reverse something, not false, it reverses to true and false, and once are false in a code, then it makes the all code to false. And true or false or always once a true, then all the answers will become in true. Mathematical and date time functions. Mathematical functions, basic functions: math the seal x, round up. For using round up, we use math the seal to rounds up. Math the floor, we use to rounds down. Round x rounds to nearest integer. If we have 7.6, then our nearest integer is 8. If we have 7.4, then our nearest integer is 7. Power and square: math dot power xy, x raised to the power y. Math squared x, square root of x. Factorial and logarithm: math and factorial x, factorial of x. Math dot log x, natural logarithm of x. Trigonometric functions: math dot sin x, math dot cos x, math dot tan x. As usual, we need a hyperbolic version: sin h, cos h, and tan h. If we see here an example, when we use made the sale of this number, then our print was 18. Our output was 18. When you use floor, that means our output should be only the integer part. It was 17. When we use round, it was our number was 7.8, 17.8. So our nearest integer number is 18. That was our output value. If we use power, then we easily can say 4 to the power 5 is equal 1024. If we use square of x, then we can easily say that root over 4 is equal to. If we see next, okay, date time functions. If we want to print current date, then we use date time dot now, returns current system and date and time. Print current date time, displays result. Okay, if we want to calculate a date, then we use date time dot date dot today, gets today's date. It gets today's date. Time delta days 5, we want adds 5 days to the to current date, then we use time delta, and days equal and the value and the days that we want to add. Date difference equal future date, current date, calculates gap between two dates. Date difference means to gap to determine the gap between two dates. Okay, here are the all examples, and as usual, here are the all answers. String. String manipulation. Indexing and slicing. Indexing means to separate some, to recall and to identify a number or something. And slicing means to slice or to make some parts of the integer of the string. Sorry, of the string. Examples: name 0 returns the first character. Slicing: name 1 is to 3 returns a substring from index 1 to 2. Negative indexing: access characters from the end using negative indices. Example: name -1 returns the last character. Concatenation means to join two strings. Here we can see that we are joining two strings by using plus. Use star or multiplication sign to repeat a string. That string 1 was our already stored, and we want to multiply the string for 3 times, then we use string star 3 to repeat strings. Escape characters: use slash to include special characters in strings. Example: CSE1 slash inverted close avoid syntax error in I inverted comma I love slash inverted again CSC 141 inverted close for the second course, inverted close for the first. And here are some examples. Common string methods: formatting and alignment. Capitalize, upper, lower, swap case. That means capitalize means to capitalize means to capital a letter, and it should be always the first letter. Upper means capitalize all the same characters. Upper means capitalize all the same characters. That means if we have one or two characters are only in uppercase and all the other characters are in small case, so in that case we use uppercase to capitalize all the letters. Lower turns all the letters capital to small. As usual, uppercase uses to capitalize all the characters, and lowercase turns all the letters capital from small. Sorry, turns all the letters capital to small. Swap case: reverse method, small to capital or capital to small. If our input is in small letter, then our output would be capital letter, and if our input is in capital letter, then our output would be small letter. Utility function. Length means returns string length. Joins means joins iterable elements with a string. Strip remove white space of specific character. Here are some examples what I already said. Some programming errors. There are many kinds of programming errors: compile time error, runtime error, error handling, best practices. Here are some examples. So syntax error is common to everyone. Incorrect code structure. Syntax error basically for syntax error, we see syntax error basically for incorrect code structures. Example: missing quotes. That means if we miss a comma or a letter or anything, then we see a syntax error. Identification error. Misaligned code blocks. Name error. Using undefined variables or functions. When we want to use something, when we want to want a output uh, of a individual thing, but we didn't called or we didn't define variables. In that case, we see name error, runtime error, zero division error. It is common to everyone. Dividing by zero. If our mathematical term that when we divide something, then that if we if we think about a if we think about an example, that if we store a is equal 5 and b is equal 0, and we want to print a divided by b, in that case 5 divided by 0 is undefined. So in that case, we see zero division error. Type error, invalid operations between incompatible types, index error, key error, accessing non-existent list index or dictionary key. If something that not exist in dictionary or in Python dictionary, then we see index error or key error. Error handling prevents program from crashing and displays custom messages. If we use if we use error handling, then we save our program from crashing and displays our customs messages. Best practice to reduce our programming errors: always use valid inputs, use meaningful error messages, test edge cases to avoid unexpected failures. Conditional statement. Introduction to conditional statement. Okay, when we hear about conditional statement, first of all, we can think our logical conditions. What is it? Equal, that means equal to. Then then inverted equal, then exclamation equal, not equal. After that, less than is equal, less than or equal, greater than and greater than equal. And if we think about conditional statement, first in our mind first came if statement and if else statement and elif statements. We can see elif in our next slide. So here if statement executes code block only if condition is true. That means if number 1 is greater than number 2, then print first is greater than the second number. If else statement add an alternative path if condition is false. It means if number 1 is greater than number 2, print greater, else print smaller. That means if our number 1 is not greater than 2, in that case our output will be smaller. If else and if elif else. So if elif statement is similar to if else. If number 1 is greater than number 1, print greater. Elif number 1 equal number 2, print equal. If elif else statement, final else handles all unmatched cases. If number 1 is greater than number 2, print greater. Elif number 1 equal number 2, print equal, else print smaller. Okay, here is the example. Then smaller is our output because our number 1 is smaller than number 2. So if we see our first statement, that is not correct, so we pass our program in second statement, and we see that that is also not correct. If we see our last statement, and that is correct, so our output is smaller. Loop is very important for repeating a condition or for repeating something. Introduction to loops and for loops. What is a loop? A loop repeatedly executes a block of code until a condition is met. That means we use loop simultaneously until our condition meet the actual code. For loop is used when the number of interaction is known or based on iterable length. When we know the iterable length, then in that case we can use for loop. And if we don't know the iterable length, then in that case we can use only loop. Only loop that could be while loop. Example: name Nazmul Hossain Saqib. For I in name, that means here I means here I want to print I, and I want to store name in I variable, and I want to print I. So my output should be Nazmul Hossain and Saqib. Example with range. For number. First of all, if we declare a number in range, our range is 1 to 10. So here we want to print number. So my output should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. We don't carry 10 because if we use first bracket, then we can't carry 10. We can carry last number or n number. We can carry n minus 1 number. Introduction to loops and for loops. As we say in our previous slide, here just we mention our examples. While loop and random conditions. While loop concept means to execute code as long as the condition remains true. When my condition is become true, then our loop is stop. Loop will stop. If we see our basic example, then we declared I a variable equals 0 while I is lesser than equal 7, print I. That means print I from 0 to 7, print I from 0 to 7, and my printing option is, and my output is it. Okay, it is a advanced and customized example. So if we see, while random, we call a random number dot randint, as usual 0 to 10, print not yet 5, reached at 5. When my number reached at 5, then automatically it will print reached 5 and stop all the program. And print, and when my number is not 5, then it print not yet, and again it returns the loop and provide the information and use the codes again and run the code again. Some projects. If we see some projects, whether a boy is a child or teenager. First of all, we declare a age variable equal int. Definitely age is an integer value. Input, we call input to enter a number, enter our age. If age is greater than equal 18, print you are eligible for marriage. If age is greater than equal 13, print you are a teenager. Else, if all the above cases are false, then print you are a child. Enter your age. We enter our age 1, then our output should be you are a child. So I just mark here our output. Grades of a student. Score. Int. Definitely grade is an integer number. Input. Enter your marks 0 to 100. Score can be floating number, but we use int for using an integer value. If score is 101, if score is greater than equal 101, print invalid input because mark range is 0 to 100. Try again. If score is greater than equal 90, print A. Excellent. If greater than 18, print grade B. If greater than 70, print grade C. If greater than 60, print D. Else, grade F. That means fail. If all the cases are wrong, then our output should be grade F. If this case meets our input, then it would be our output, and our output would be grade B. So if we enter a marks, we enter 654. That means it is out of our range, so it should be print. That means marks range is 0 to 100. Try again. It was our output. Grades of a student. It was our previous slide. I just marked the answer, the output. Rock paper scissor king. So here is our output. Here is our code, and here is our output. So please kindly check the please kindly check our code and try in your own platform. That would be VS Code, that would be Google Colab, that would be PyCharm. You can use everything. If we see next, computational thinking, algorithm and flowchart. Computational thinking. It means thinking like a computer to solve problems logically. That means computational thinking means to think about something harder and solve the problem by using logic. Breaks complex problems into smaller manageable parts. Computational in this part, in computational thinking part, it breaks firstly complex problems into smaller and then manage the parts. Enhances both programming and real life problem solving skills. Sorry. Algorithm. A step-by-step set of instructions to solve a specific problem acts as a blueprint for writing code. Algorithm is is all about blueprint. Is all about blueprint because when we want to write a code, first of all we have to make the blueprint for writing code, and the blueprint called algorithm originated from 19th century. Algorithm was originated from 19th century and originated by mathematician Al-Khwarizmi. Example use case: calculating the area and parameter of a square using algorithmic steps. Each step corresponds to a variable declaration, formula, and output. Flowchart. A graphical representation of an algorithm uses standard symbols to visualize steps and logic, helps in planning, debugging, and communicating program structure. So I think I think that all about our computational thinking, algorithm, and flowchart. If we see next, we define individually. Algorithm serves as blueprints for writing efficient and logical code. Algorithm means to serve as blueprints, and we use the blueprints to write efficient and logical code. Key characteristics of an algorithm. If we think about an algorithm, first of all, if we want to input, accept data to process, output, produces a result. Definiteness is each step must be clear and unambiguous. Finiteness must complete in a finite number of steps to write an algorithm. Step 1, define required inputs, example length, breadth. Step 2, declare variables to store input values. Step 3, perform operation, example area is equal to length and breadth. If you want to perform an operation, and if you want to get the area of length and breadth, then we can use this formula: area is equal to length and breadth. Okay. Step 4, display the result using output instructions. So here is our algorithm. If we see next, flowchart. Flowchart, a diagram that uses symbols to represent the steps of an algorithm. Common flowchart symbols: terminator, oval, parallelogram, diamond, rectangle, arrow. So terminator means start, stop. Parallelogram, input, output. Diamond, decision making. Rectangle, processing steps. Arrow, direction of flow. Benefits of flowchart: improves clarity, improves clarity and planning, helps visualize logic before coding, useful for debugging and documentation. It is our next slide, and the topic is flowchart. Flowchart means a diagram that uses symbols to represent the steps of an algorithm. Common flowchart, all the things already are discussed. Final representation of algorithm and flowchart. A area of a rectangular, and step 1 is start. If we see in flowchart, if we see algorithm, step 2 input length and breadth. If we see in flowchart, read length and breadth, and as usual from the stop, as usual to stop. Data structure. What is the list? Can you say? A list is a collection that can store multiple types of data together. In Python, lists are written using square brackets. Um, we can say that third bracket in here we can see square bracket, but we also say an alternative name called third bracket. And elements are separated by commas. Definitely, elements should be separated by comma. You can store integers, strings, or any data type at any index. It's a good information. We can store any types of data called integer, strings, or any type of, such as boolean, such as strings. So if we see next, lists are mutable. Mutable means we can change anytime, anytime any of these integers, strings, or any data. List indexing. Indexing starts from 0 and n minus 1. That means it starts from 0 to n minus 1. Alternative weight is negative indexing. Alternative way is, sorry, my mistake here. Here should be right way is negative indexing. -1 for the last item, -2 for the second last, and so on. If we use negative indexing, the process of indexing: 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here is a numbers, or here is my list. If we use forward indexing, then 0 should be first, 1 should be second, and after next 2, after next 3, and lastly 4. If we use negative indexing, -4 should be in last, and backward -2, and after -1, -3, after -4, and after -5. So forward indexing means start from the first element indexing 0. Backward indexing means it starts from the last element index -1. So here is answer. Here is a code. First of all, we declare a list 13 for 13. 13 is an integer part. Book is a string part, string data type. 0.5 is a floating data type, and a again a string data type. Print my list 0. If we think our forward indexing, then 0 means 13, 1 means book, 2 means 0.5, and 3 means 4. 3 means A. Sorry, 3 means A. We declare in our list for 3 is A. If we use backward indexing, then first of all we use -1. That means -1 is capital A. Then 0.5 is for -2. Book is for -3. And lastly 13 is for -4. If we see next, I just mark the answers, outputs. List slicing and updating. We use we use we use slicing to uh, to make a individual part of a list, of a defined list. So used to create sublist. Here already said that we use list slicing to create sublists. Sublist is a subsectors of list. Name is equal A B C D E F and name 2 colon 0. That means from index 2 to end. In sublist 2, name colon 3. That means indexing from 0 to 2. Sublist 3 name is means 1 to 4. If we update stored data, that means we want to update a data from our list. Then 1 means B. We want to use B. We want to use Joya in place of B. So if we see individual code, then our if our indexing 1 is Aya, then we can change with Joya or replace with Joya. Here is a example and here is my output. List appending and removing. Lists are mutable to can change any kind of element. Lists are mutable. That means we can change any types of list. Append means to enter. Append means to include something in last of my list. And remove uses for to delete specific elements. If we see here in a list there is not exist monim, but when we use append monim, we can include monim in our output. And whereas I remove empty, then our input our list in my list empty was included, but when I use remove, then my printed output is, and empty is not here. List membership and length. First of all, we have to check if an item exists using in or conditional statements. Here is an example by using in nameg. That means does here present near. If present, then print is present. If not present, if David in nameg, is David is here? No. David in here? No. So print present. No, it is not eligible. If we see else, print absent. Okay, then first printed value should be false because Niaz is not present here, and after that David is also not present there, so next answer should be absent. Check length of a list or find how many index are there using length. By using length we can verify how many index are there. 1 2 3 4 5 6, and my output is 5 6. If you want to get maximum or minimum values, then we have to use maximum, and then we have to use max and min. So in here our maximum value is 99 and minimum value is 5. Here is our answer. Concatenated concatenated the list by using plus. Concatenated means to join two parts or join two lists by using plus. Here my concatenated list. If we see next, what is a tuple? Can you say what is a tuple? A tuple is similar to a list but immutable. It is all it is almost similar with list but immutable, and here we use parenthesis, not first bracket, not third bracket. It cannot be changed after creation. That I said before, that list is immutable. Used when data should remain constant. It is used for remaining constant some data. Writing using parentheses, that I said before, elements separated by comma. Can also be defined without parentheses, is still considered a tuple. We can define without parentheses and still that would be a tuple. Tuple indexing, same as lists, 0 to n-1 and negative indexing from -1. Backward, forward and backward indexing works the same way as lists. Here is an example and here is my output. Types of tuples. There are many types of tuples. Empty tuple, single tuple, long tuple, nested tuple. Okay. Single tuple means only one part I need. Empty tuple, that means there is nothing in the first bracket or parenthesis. Long tuple means there is multiple variable there is multiple data in a list. Nested tuple, that means a list in another list. So here is my example and here is my output. Types of tuples, that I already described and I just marked in this slide. Tuple operations. Tuples cannot be updated or appended. You can concatenate tuples using plus, tuple 1, tuple 2 as usual with lists. Use del for deleting a tuple. Yes, we can use del for deleting a tuple. So here are some examples. And tuple slicing, length, repetition, and maximum minimum. Tuple slicing used to create subtuples. Name of season 1:0, 1: nothing. And that means we didn't define anything. 1 only colon. From index 1 to end. 1:3 from index 1 to 2. Only 2, that from index 0 to 1. Length tuple, that defines length. Tuple star 3, that repeated a tuple. Max tuple, that define maximum value, and minimum tuple that define minimum value. Here is my example. First of all, I define a name and using first bracket. When I see first brackets or parentheses, then I easily came to a decision that that is a tuple. Print length name. There are three parts. So here should be print 3 as usual. Name star 3. It would be repeated. Maximum value is 6. Here printed 6 and minimum value is 2. Here printed 2. If we see next, just marked. Set. Unordered collection of unique elements, writing using curly braces. If we use curly braces, then if we see curly braces, then we can say that we are using or we are defining set. No duplicate elements are allowed. No duplicate elements could be allowed, or no duplicate elements can be in a set. Supports operations like union, intersection, difference. Here I declare two set. Union means union means to carry all the info of the two sets. Intersection means to carry only the common information of the sets. Difference means to the difference from set 1 to set 2. Here is my answer. So here I just mark my answer. If we see next, dictionary. Set and dictionary are almost same, in here we are use keys. We are use keys. We use keys. Dictionary means a data structure that stores data in key value format. As I said before, uses curly braces, as I already said, and dict key. It is important. We use dict key to define a dictionary. We can use another thing, but dict curly braces looked good. Looks good. Keys are unique. Keys should be unique. Values can repeat. Values can repeat. But in if we see sets, values cannot be repeat. Mutable. It can be changed anytime or update anytime. Supports nested and complex data types. We can use nested dictionary. That means a dictionary in another dictionary. Accessing values. Here is a just a example, basic example. If we see in our Google Colab format, dict a curly braces, it was my key1, key2, and key3. And if we print dict a, then first of all, it prints key1, then key2, then key3. If we want to just print my values means the right part of the colon. Then only the then it only prints my right parts. Red, yellow, green. If you want to print keys, then only it prints first, second, and third. Here is my answer. You can define by marking. Updating, inserting, deleting, nested dictionary. If we want to update and insert something, we can use new value. And if we want to insert something in a key 4, then we can use this format. If you want to delete, then we can use del as usual for set, as usual for list, as usual for table, and also for dictionary. And also we can use clear for removing all the items. Nested, I already discusses it previous slide. Okay. Array. What is array? A special variable that stores multiple values of same types. That means array is a special variable that stores multiple values of a simple type, of a same type, value. That means if we want to print something that integer, in that case all the values should be in integer data type. If you want to print a floating value, we have to, if one value is floating data, if one value carries floating data, then all the values should be in floating data. So indexing from 0 to n minus n minus n into 0 to n minus 1. Examples: finding length. For finding length, we use length variable. Accessing index, that means we use name dot index, that prints our value. Add or remove. For adding something, we use append. For removing something, we use pop or clear. We use pop for remove a index, remove as individual index, or if we use clear, that removes all the elements of the array. Using of array module. By using of array module, we can it is already built in Python programming. So in that case, we can call it by using import array. Array is array.array I inverted I comma third bracket 10 20 30. If we print length array, length it give me the feedback for the length. It give me the feedback for the appending 40. Here it give me the feedback for popping one from here. Here is a full full example of all types of arrays. Here is the marking, and if we see next, function and file handling. Function and file handling, it is important for Python programming. Basically, function is a reusable block of code that performs a specific task, which helps avoid repetition and improves code organization. If we want to call a function, first of all we have to use diff key to define a function. First of all, we have to use diff key to define a function. In Python programming language, all many of the functions are already built in function, and other functions are not built in. Other functions are not built in. That is called define or user call function. User call function. In that case, we have to use diff. And function name should be meaningful. Parameters are input. It is a parameter. That means when we use curly braces and when you use curly braces and when you use first bracket and inside of it we declare a data, that is our parameters. Colon is mandatory after the function header. Indentation is crucial for the function body. Indentation is crucial for the function body. As I said, built-in function has already built to define or call user function. We need to use diff to define and call my using function or what I want to use. So here is two examples. Here is my parameters, and here I declare my value of the parameters, and here it prints my value. If we see next, I just marked here defining and calling function. Parameters are local variables inside the function. If not called, the function won't execute. To call a function, write its name and pass values inside parentheses. Example, division function 10 to, if no parameters, then welcome message. Basic structure, first of all we have to use f, function name parameters statement return result. We use return to get our results that I want to print. It was my previous example. We can use here, we also use here to easily understand, for easily understanding. Fibonacci series, it is an interesting series. What is Fibonacci series, can we say? Fibonacci series is a sequence where each number is the sum of the previous two. That means if my previous number is this two, my next number should be 0 plus 1 is equal 1. If my previous number is this two, my next number should be 2. Then it continues in Fibonacci sequence. An example, if we use this type of codes, if we use my example, if we see my example, then first of all I declare a Fibonacci n function, then I declare variable a is equal 0, b is equal 1, while then I use a loop while b is lesser than n or b is less than n, print b end equal quotation. That means print b till the ending of the loop. C is equal A plus B. That means I print C is equal A plus B. That I can say that C is the summation of A plus B. Exactly. A is equal B. I store the value of B in A variable, and then again I store the value of C in B variable, and again my loop is continued. First, second, third, again first, second, third, again first, second, and third. And finally my number of integer input, enter number. I can input a number, and as per my number, as per my input, my Fibonacci output should be 112, because my entering number was 3. So for the 3, for the Fibonacci for the 3 is 1, 1 and 2. If we see next, file reading and writing. It is used when I already stored a file in my computer, or a in a significant folder. We use reading mode to read the file text, and we use writing mode to write the file text, or change or updating the already existent file. Use open bracket quotation file name .txt comma r. R means to convert reading mode, to open a file in read mode, to enter read content. It's a basic syntax. To read line by line, it's a basic syntax, and using line in for and loop. If we want to use write mode, open file name .txt .write, to open in write mode. To write something, that means I want to write hello Python in the file text already. Writing mode W overwrite exist content. It was my extra note. If you see here, in my file.txt, my file txt file, my file txt file, I have already stored I love Python programming. I just define my folder, and using read print content. Then my program is looking like this. Again, if I read line by line, that prints my first line. Basically it was my full text. So here my first line is all about my full text. F equal open file text dot w. Here we use w to write something, to overwrite something in place of the existing value. That means my existing value was I love Python programming, but when I write this is Python programming /n, then newly it is exist in the place of I love Python programming, and it should be visualized like this, and the visualization is this is Python course. If we see next, errors and exception. What is an exception? An exception is a runtime error that disrupts normal program execution. Sorry for the discontinuation. It is my example. In quotes, it is my example, and common examples are this. If we see next, errors and exceptions. What is an exception? As I say before, that was my silly mistake. Please pardon my mistake. I can describe it. Errors and exceptions. What is an exception? An exception is a runtime error that disrupts normal program execution. Example: a is equal 10, b is equal 0. Print a divided by b. Raise zero division error. In quotes, a is equal 2500 b is equal 0, print a by b, print I did it. But if we see here, we are divided 2500 by 0. There, in that case, we can find zero division error. Common exception types: zero division error, division by zero; type error, invalid type operation; value error, invalid value passed; index error, invalid index access; key error means missing dictionary key; import error means failed import; IO error, file read write failure; syntax error, invalid Python syntax; runtime error, generic runtime error. If we see exceptions, try except finally. Multiple except blocks can handle different errors. Use except alone to catch all exceptions, not recommended for debugging. Finally, block always runs even if no error occurs. Help prevent program crashes and improves user experience. Example: if we see an example, first of all, we define try. Number is equal int input enter a number. We define an input for integer number. Result is equal 1000 divided by number. Number is as usual for my input. Print result except zero division error. Print cannot divide by zero. Except value error. Print invalid input. Please enter a number. Finally, print program ended. If we see next, object-oriented programming. It's a great thing to discuss. If we see the introduction to object-oriented programming, what is object-oriented programming? Can we say object-oriented programming basically a programming paradigm based on objects, not just logic or functions. Modules, modules models real world entities and their interactions. Core components of object oriented programming is class and object. Here I declared already class and objects. Key features of object oriented programming: object means instance with attributes, data and behaviors. Method: class, blueprint template for creating objects. Encapsulation, bundles data and method. Protects internal state. Inheritance, allows one class to inherit features from another. Polymorphism, it is important, you can note it. Some method name behaves differently across objects. That means same method name behaves but name behaves differently access objects as per objects. Basically, object concept, object oriented programming concepts with example. What is object? Object is real life world entity and properties and actions. In easy way we can say everything in as objects. Example: attributes could be color, model, mileage for a car. Example: for a car, definitely here I use a example as here I use a car for example. Attributes for car is definitely color, model, mileage. Methods: accelerate, brake and definitely turn. What is class? Class is nothing but a blueprint for creating objects. Example: here I use first class car colon diff in it self color model self dot color self dot model equal model save self diff drive self print driving the car. If we see next, object oriented programming concepts with examples. Object oriented programming concept with examples. If we see next, polymorphism. Polymorphism allows the same method name to perform different tasks depending on the object. Basically, it is depending on the object. It enables flexibility and code reuse by supporting method overriding and overloading. We will see an example in next slide. If we see inheritance lets a class acquire properties and behaviors from another class. It promotes code reusability and hierarchical relationships between classes. Encapsulation binds data. It means binding some data. Many kinds of data it binds in a proper way, in a proper shape, I can say in a proper way, and methods within a class, hiding internal details from outside access protects the integrity of data by controlling how attributes are accessed or modified. If we see some examples for these three parts, first of all, diff start vehicle.drive start car for using output driving the car, sports car output driving the car for overriding behavior. I think I think all of you I think all of you can understand what I said. If we see inheritance, class sports car diff turbo self print turbo mode activated. And finally, encapsulation access control using private attributes. That means underscore underscore uses in the first of the defining code. After that, changes allowed only through defined method. Changes can allowed, but only when defined method, only a defined method, only a method, only in a subjective way. If we see next, Python framework and library. Application areas of Python libraries and frameworks. Python tools are used in various fields. You can say diverse field. First of all, web application development, desktop and mobile app development, data analytics, machine learning and AI, machine learning, AI and deep learning, computer vision, bioinformatics, and many more. Okay, if we discuss some web development framework, first of all we can discuss Django. Basically, the word not Django, the pronunciation is Django. High level web framework following model view template MVT architecture. That means Django uses model view template architecture, comes with built-in model admin panel, security features, and ORM object rational mapping. Ideal for large-scale secure web application. So if we summarize about Django, Django is Python's popular web application development framework. It allows developers to build complex web applications quickly and easily. Django is a high-level framework that follows the model view template MVT architecture. It also provides built-in features like admin, interface, and security tools, enabling developers to build applications with minimal coding effort. That means we can use it for minimal, use it by what I say. That means I can say um, it is easy. It is easy to code, easy to minimal coding. Okay, if we see next about Flex. Flex basically is used for smaller applications. Flex is a great choice, while Django is used for large and complex web application. Flex is suitable for medium and small scale projects. It's lightweight and flexible. Here are all the things I said above. If you see next, pandas, powerful for data manipulation and analysis, ideal for cleaning, filtering and transforming datasets, uses data frames for structured data. Basically, pandas is the most popular Python library for data analysis. It simplifies data frame handling and manipulation. Okay, if we say NumPy, it's a core library for numerical computing. It offers rich mathematical function, including linear algebra and numerical simulations, making it essential for analytic tasks. Sorry, the word would be task. If you see next, scientific computing. For scientific computing, we use SciPy, built on NumPy, focused on scientific texts. Focused on scientific tasks includes modules for optimization, integration, signal processing, and more, used in engineering, physics, and research. Basically, nowadays it is using for engineering, physics, and research. If in short or in essence, I can say sci-fi specializes in scientific computation. It includes functions for for optimization, Fourier transformation, signal processing, integration, and other complex scientific and mathematical calculations. Machine learning libraries. Those who are want to learn machine learning, this slide is very useful for them. This slide will be very useful for them. Scikit-learn. Okay. Most popular machine learning library for beginners and professionals. That means if I say in short, scikit-learn is Python's most popular machine learning library, as I said in my first quotation, in my first para. Then it allows easy creation of module for supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcements learning tests. That means it is used for unsupervised and reinforcement learning test tasks. So if we see next, TensorFlow and PyTorch. TensorFlow basically used in deep learning for frameworks for building neutral networks. TensorFlow, developed by Google, supports production grade models. If we talk about PyTorch, developed by Facebook, preferred for research and flexibility. Both support NLP, computer vision, and large-scale ML tasks. If you see next, data visualization libraries. Matplotlib. Matplotlib basically is a basic plotting library for static graphs. Here all the charts are in graphs. Supports line, plot, bar charts, pie charts, histogram, etc. As I said before. If I talk about Seven, it is built on Matplotlib, adds statistical visualization, ideal for heat maps, violin plots, and correlation graphs. Basically, Seven is using for making correlation between two or three or many kinds of graphs. If we see next and our last slide, interactive visualization. Plotly, library for interactive web-based visualizations, supports zooming, hovering, and dynamic updates. Dash framework allows building full interactive dashboards. So that's all my presentation. Thank you for watching my presentation.